Fog hides secrets. And in a town like Ravenwood Cove, some secrets were never meant to be uncovered. A body lies at the old mill. The past is about to speak. Welcome to Mystery Manor Audiobooks. Step inside. The mystery awaits. If you enjoy immersive mystery audiobooks like this one, please consider subscribing to the channel. And as you listen, leave a comment telling me where you're listening from. I love seeing how far these stories travel. Now, settle in. Your story begins. The Mill Ruins Mystery. A Ravenwood Cove Mystery, Book 1, Chapter 1. The fog came in thick that October morning, rolling off the Atlantic like a living thing. Detective Emily Wilson stood at the edge of the old mill ruins, her breath misting in the damp air. The body lay face down in the shallow water where the Raven River pooled against crumbling foundation stones. Male, late 50s, dressed in work clothes that had seen better days. A crimson stain spread across the back of his canvas jacket. Sheriff Tom Harris stood beside her, his weathered face grim. His thick mustache twitched as he surveyed the scene. "This is Pete Larkin," Tom said quietly. "Worked maintenance at the college. Good man. Kept to himself." Emily crouched near the body, careful not to disturb the scene. 3 months back in Ravenwood Cove, and already the ghosts of her hometown were calling. She'd left Boston to escape the violence, the politics, the guilt. She'd thought a quiet coastal town would be different. Wrong. "Jogger found him an hour ago," Tom continued. "Called it in at 6:30. Dr. Green's on his way." Emily studied the positioning. Pete Larkin hadn't fallen here. Drag marks led from deeper in the ruins, through mud and autumn leaves. Someone had moved him. Someone had wanted him found, or hidden. "When was he last seen?" she asked. "Yesterday afternoon. Left the college around 4. His truck's still in the employee lot." Emily stood, brushing dirt from her jeans. The old mill had been abandoned since the 1950s, a relic of Ravenwood Cove's industrial past. Teenagers used it for dares, photographers for moody shots. Nobody came here for legitimate reasons, especially not at night. A car door slammed. Dr. Walter Green emerged from his aging Volvo, medical bag in hand. The county coroner looked every one of his 62 years this morning, his white hair wild from the wind. "Emily," he greeted, his voice carrying that familiar dry warmth. "Welcome home, though I wish it were under better circumstances." "Doctor." She nodded toward the body. "What can you tell me?" Green knelt with surprising grace for a man his age. He examined the body methodically, his pale blue eyes sharp behind round spectacles. Single gunshot wound to the back, close range judging by the powder burns. Exit wound through the chest, time of death. I'd estimate between 8 and midnight last night. "Murder?" Tom asked. "Unless Mr. Larkin shot himself in the back and then walked 50 feet, yes." Green's tone was dry. "I'll know more after the autopsy." Emily photographed the scene with her phone. The mill loomed behind them, 3 stories of rotting timber and broken windows. A danger, no trespassing sign dangled from rusted chains. She noticed something else. Fresh boot prints in the mud leading into the ruins. Size 11, maybe 12. Deep treads. Not Pete Larkin's worn work boots. "Tom," she called, "we need to search the mill." The sheriff grimaced. That place hasn't been safe for 20 years. Someone went in there last night. Recent prints. Tom sighed, pulling a flashlight from his belt. Deputy Ramirez is 15 minutes out. We wait for backup. Emily wanted to argue, but Tom was right. She'd learned patience the hard way in Boston. Rush in, and you miss things. People die. Her partner had died. She pushed the memory down, focusing on the present. A maintenance worker murdered at an abandoned mill. Why? What had Pete Larkin been doing here? Green zipped the body bag. The sound was obscenely loud in the morning quiet. Emily, he said softly. Pete Larkin worked at this mill. Back in the 70s, before it closed. He was one of the last employees. She turned. You think this is connected to the mill's history? In a town like Ravenwood Cove? Green's smile was sad. Everything is connected, my dear. You just have to find the thread. The ambulance arrived, lights flashing silently in the fog. 2 paramedics loaded Pete Larkin's body for transport to the morgue. Emily watched them drive away, feeling the weight of responsibility settle on her shoulders. This was her first murder case since leaving Boston. Since the night her partner, Detective Marcus Chen, had died during a drug raid gone wrong. She'd frozen at a critical moment, made the wrong call. Marcus had paid the price. She couldn't freeze now. Deputy Carlos Ramirez pulled up in his patrol car, tall and fit in his crisp uniform. At 28, he was the department's youngest officer, but his military background showed in every precise movement. Sheriff, he greeted Tom. Detective Wilson, where do you need me? We're clearing the mill, Tom said. 3-person sweep. Watch for structural damage. They entered carefully. The interior was worse than Emily expected. Holes in the floor, rotting beams, walls that seemed to lean inward. Water dripped from somewhere above. This place should be condemned, Ramirez muttered. It is, Tom said. Has been for decades. They split up, each taking a section of the ground floor. Emily's flashlight beam cut through the gloom, illuminating rusted machinery, broken glass, graffiti from generations of trespassers. She found the first clue in what had once been a foreman's office. A makeshift table constructed from crates, empty coffee cups, a sleeping bag in the corner. Tom, she called, someone's been camping here. The sheriff appeared, examining the setup. Recently. These cups are clean. No mold. Pete Larkin? Ramirez suggested. Emily shook her head. Why would he camp in a place he worked 40 years ago? She moved to the sleeping bag, carefully checking pockets. Found a receipt. Gas station, 2 days ago. Cash purchase. Untraceable, Tom observed. They continued upward. The stairs groaned ominously with each step. Emily tested each board before putting her full weight on it. The second floor was mostly open space, once a factory floor. Now just debris and bird nests. The third floor was different. Most of the doors hung open, rooms empty. But one door stood closed. Fresh scratches marred the lock, as if someone had recently forced it open. Tom tried the handle. Locked. Ramirez, crowbar, Emily said. The deputy pried the door open. It gave with a crack that echoed through the building. The room beyond was clean, impossibly clean compared to the rest of the mill. Someone had swept the floor, arranged furniture, created a workspace in the ruins. A desk held stacks of papers, photographs, handwritten notes. A corkboard on the wall displayed a web of connections, names, dates, arrows linking people and events. Pete Larkin's investigation, Emily breathed. She studied the board. At the center, a black and white photograph of a man in his 40s. Beneath it, a name card. Samuel Carter, mill owner. Around him, other faces connected by red string. Joe Haskell, mill's supervisor, marked with a red X. Martha Higgins, bookkeeper. David Langley, insurance agent. Morgan Blackwood, investor. Each connection had notes. Insurance fraud? Fire investigation flawed. Witness statements contradictory. Follow the money. This is more than insurance fraud, Tom said quietly. Emily photographed everything. The documents detailed financial transfers, insurance policies, witness statements that didn't match official reports. Pete had been thorough, obsessive even. One photograph caught her attention. A woman in her 30s standing beside Samuel Carter. Handwritten on the back. Evelyn Carter, 1976. Carter had a daughter, Tom said. Lives in Portland now, art teacher. We need to talk to her. Emily bagged the photo as evidence. And these other names. Martha Higgins is still the librarian? Been there 40 years. David Langley runs the hardware store his family's owned since the 50s. Morgan Blackwood? Tom's expression darkened. He bought the mill property in 1980. Wanted to develop it into condos. Town council blocked him. He still own it? Yes, and he's been pushing for development permits again. City council vote is next month. Emily felt pieces clicking into place. Pete Larkin dies just before a vote that could finally let Blackwood develop this land. Pete, who's been investigating the fire for decades. Could be coincidence, Tom offered. But his tone said he didn't believe it. Emily spotted something else. A leather notebook hidden under a stack of papers. She opened it carefully. Pete Larkin's journal. Pages filled with meticulous handwriting, documenting years of research. She flipped to the last entry, dated 2 days ago. Found it. Carter's notebook. Hidden all these years in the place I should have looked first, his daughter's attic. She didn't even know it was there. The truth about Joe, about the fire, about all of them. Meeting EC tomorrow at the diner to give her the evidence. She deserves to know what her father did, what they all did. After 46 years, Joe Haskell will finally get justice. EC, Tom said. Evelyn Carter. Did they meet? Emily asked. Tom pulled out his phone. I'll call the seafarer. Lucy sees everything that happens there. He stepped away to make the call. Emily continued examining the room. Found more documents. Bank statements showing large transfers after the 1978 fire. Insurance claim forms, photographs of the mill before and after the blaze, and something else. A manila envelope, unsealed. Inside, a USB drive labeled Evidence, October 2024. She pocketed it carefully. Tom returned, his face pale. Lucy confirms Pete met with a woman yesterday afternoon. Mid-30s, dark hair, Portland accent. They talked for over an hour. The woman left around 5. Pete stayed, made phone calls, then rushed out around 6. Phone calls to who? Lucy doesn't know, but she said Pete looked scared after one of them. Emily's phone buzzed. Unknown number, she answered, a woman's voice, shaky and urgent. Detective Wilson, this is Evelyn Carter. I need help. Someone's following me. Pete Larkin gave me my father's notebook yesterday, and now... The line went dead. Emily called back. No answer. Tom, she said. We need to find Evelyn Carter, now. Tom's radio crackled. Dispatch. Sheriff, we have a report from Portland PD. Silver Camry registered to Evelyn Carter found abandoned at a rest stop on Route 95. Signs of a struggle. Blood on the driver's seat. Emily's blood ran cold. Pete Larkin had found evidence. He'd contacted Evelyn Carter. Now he was dead, and she was missing. Someone was cleaning up loose ends. Chapter 2. The Ravenwood Gazette occupied a narrow brick building on Main Street, wedged between a hardware store and an antique shop. Emily found Ben Matthews in the basement archives, surrounded by stacks of yellowing newspapers. "Detective Wilson," he said, looking up from his laptop. Behind wire-frame glasses, his blue-gray eyes held curiosity and something else. Caution, maybe. "Word travels fast." "Small town?" She descended the creaky stairs. The basement smelled of old paper and dust, with underlying notes of coffee and old books. "I need information about the old mill." Ben's expression shifted. "The Larkin murder." "I haven't confirmed it's murder yet." "Come on, Emily. This is Ravenwood Cove. We both know nothing stays secret for long." He gestured to a chair stacked with newspapers. "What do you want to know?" She moved the papers carefully and sat, noting how Ben had set up his workspace. Organized chaos. 3 monitors displaying different databases, sticky notes everywhere with cryptic references, a half-dozen reference books open simultaneously. A vintage Underwood typewriter sat in the corner like a trophy. "The mill closed in 1978, she began. "Pete Larkin worked there. What happened?" Ben pulled up a file on his screen. "Fire, February 14th, 1978. Started in the paper storage area around midnight. Spread fast. 3 people died. The company declared bankruptcy within 6 months." "Arson?" "Never proven. The investigation was..." He paused, choosing words carefully. "Inconclusive. Fire marshal ruled it accidental, electrical fault. But there were inconsistencies in the report. Witnesses whose statements changed, evidence that went missing." "Like what?" Ben scrolled through scanned documents. The fire originated in a storage room that had been inspected just 2 weeks prior. No electrical issues noted. But after the fire, suddenly it was a known hazard that maintenance had failed to address. Someone covered it up. Or someone wanted insurance money. Ben opened another file. The mill was struggling. Competition from Canadian paper companies, rising costs, union disputes. Samuel Carter, the owner, had taken out a massive insurance policy 3 months before the fire. Emily leaned forward. How massive? $2 million in 1978 money, equivalent to about $10 million today. That's a lot of motivation for arson. It is. But Carter was never charged. The investigation cleared him. He collected the insurance, paid off creditors, and left town within a year. Never came back. Where'd he go? Portland initially, then bounced around. Died in 2015. Car accident on I-295. Single vehicle crash, no witnesses. Ben removed his glasses, cleaning them with his shirt. His daughter Evelyn inherited what was left of his estate, which wasn't much. Emily processed this. You said 3 people died in the fire. Who were they? Ben pulled up another document. Joe Haskell, 42, mill supervisor, found in the main office. Mary Chen, 38, night shift worker, found near the loading dock. Robert Taylor, 51, security guard, found in the storage area where the fire started. What about Pete Larkin? Where was he during the fire? Home. He'd left his shift at 8 p.m., clocked out, had an airtight alibi, was at his brother's house watching the Celtics game. Multiple witnesses. But he worked there. For 20 years. Started as a teenager, worked his way up to facilities manager. The fire destroyed his livelihood. He never held a steady job after that. Did odd maintenance work, lived on disability. Emily thought about the elaborate investigation she'd found in the mill. Years of work. Obsessive documentation. Pete never stopped investigating. No, he sent letters to the Gazette for decades, tips to police, claimed the fire investigation was botched, that people lied, that the truth was buried. Ben pulled up a scanned letter, Pete Larkin's cramped handwriting filling the page. Last letter came 3 weeks ago. Emily read it. I know the truth now. All these years I searched for proof. Finally found it. Samuel Carter's confession, hidden where no one thought to look. Joe Haskell was murdered. The fire was set to cover it up. Carter, Langley, Blackwood, they were all involved. I'm taking this to Carter's daughter. She deserves to know her father was a killer. The truth will finally come out. Justice for Joe Haskell after 46 years. Did he say what kind of proof? Emily asked. No, but he mentioned finding Carter's personal notebook, said it contained a full confession. And 3 weeks later, he's dead. Ben met her eyes. You think someone killed him to keep him quiet? I think someone didn't want that notebook going public. Emily stood, pacing the small space. Who else knew about Pete's investigation? Everyone, really. He wasn't subtle about it. But whether anyone took him seriously? Ben shrugged. Most people thought he was obsessed. Conspiracy theorist. The town wanted to move on from the mill fire. Pete wouldn't let them. Tell me about the other names on his suspect list. Martha Higgins. Town librarian. 74, been here her whole life. Worked as bookkeeper at the mill from 1965 to 1978. Knew Samuel Carter well, very well, if rumors are true. They were involved? Never confirmed, but people talked. Martha never married. After Carter left town, she threw herself into her work, built the library's archive system. She's the keeper of Ravenwood Cove's history, which means she'd know all the secrets. And she'd know how to bury them. Ben pulled up another file. David Langley. Runs Langley Hardware on Main Street. His father was the insurance agent who handled the mill's policy. David took over the business in 1980. Any connection to the fire? His father processed the insurance claim. David would have been in his 20s, just starting in the family business. After the payout, Langley Insurance expanded significantly. They went from a small local agency to one of the biggest in the region. Profiting from the fire. Or just good business timing. Ben clicked to another file. Morgan Blackwood is the interesting one. He was 30 when the mill burned, already rich from his family's fishing fleet. He'd invested in the mill months before the fire. Bought a 20% stake from Carter. Let me guess. The insurance payout went to investors too. Proportionally, yes. Blackwood walked away with about $400,000, which he used to start developing real estate. Now he's worth millions, and he still owns the mill property. Emily thought about the upcoming city council vote. He's been trying to develop it for decades. The town keeps blocking him. Historical preservation concerns, environmental impact, nostalgia for the old mill. But he's persistent. This latest proposal is his best shot. Luxury condos with views of the harbor. could transform Ravenwood Cove's economy or destroy its character. Depends who you ask. Ben closed his laptop. Emily, be careful with this. The mill fire is Ravenwood Cove's original sin. A lot of powerful people built their lives on what happened that night. If Pete really did find proof of murder and arson, then his death makes sense. Emily pulled out the USB drive she'd found. Can you look at this? Pete labeled it as evidence. Ben took it carefully, like handling a live bomb. I'll analyze it. But Emily, if what Pete claimed is true, if Carter, Langley, and Blackwood conspired to commit insurance fraud and murder, then someone in this town has been protecting that secret for 46 years. And they just killed to keep it buried. Her phone rang. Tom Harris. We found Evelyn Carter's car, he said without preamble. Portland PD is processing it now. Blood on the dashboard, driver's seat. Not enough to be fatal, but she was hurt. Security footage from the rest stop shows her arriving at 11 p.m. last night. She went into the bathroom, came out 10 minutes later, got into a different vehicle. She left voluntarily. Hard to say. The footage is grainy, but the vehicle was a black SUV, no plates visible. It headed south on 95. Toward Ravenwood Cove. Maybe. We've got an APB out. But Emily, there's something else. We processed Pete Larkin's truck. Found a burner phone in the glove compartment. He made 3 calls yesterday evening. To who? First call to Evelyn Carter's cell. Second call to the Ravenwood Cove Library, Martha Higgins' direct line. Third call to a block number we can't trace. Emily felt pieces clicking together. What time were these calls? 6:15, 6:20, and 6:30. An hour before the coroner estimates he was killed. He called Martha. Emily thought about the librarian's defensive reaction at the diner. He told her he had proof. Maybe he threatened to expose her. Or warned her. We don't know what he said. I'm coming back to the station. We need to bring Martha Higgins in for questioning. Already tried. She's not at the library. Called in sick this morning. Not answering her home phone. Emily exchanged glances with Ben. Where does she live? Cottage on Elm Street. I'm heading there now. Meet me in 10. Emily ended the call. Ben was already copying files from the USB drive. What are you thinking? He asked. I'm thinking Martha Higgins knows exactly what happened at that mill. And I'm thinking she's scared enough to run. Chapter 3. Martha Higgins' cottage was a neat white Victorian with blue shutters tucked behind a white picket fence. Her silver Volvo sat in the driveway. Lights were off inside. Tom was already there, along with Deputy Ramirez. They'd tried the doorbell, gotten no answer. Doors locked, Ramirez reported. No signs of forced entry. Curtains are drawn. Emily walked the perimeter. Everything looked normal. Garden neatly maintained, lawn mowed, porch swept. But something felt wrong. We going in? Tom asked. Wellness check. She's elderly, called in sick, not answering her phone. We have probable cause. Tom nodded to Ramirez, who shouldered the door open with practiced efficiency. They entered, weapons drawn. Martha Higgins, Ravenwood Police. No response. The interior was exactly what Emily expected from a librarian. Books everywhere, neatly organized. Antique furniture, doilies, photographs in silver frames. The kitchen was clean, dishes put away. No signs of struggle. They cleared the first floor, then went upstairs. 2 bedrooms, one bathroom. The larger bedroom was clearly Martha's. Floral wallpaper, 4-poster bed, more books, and suitcases on the floor, half-packed. Emily examined the contents. Clothes, toiletries, medications, a passport, cash in a white envelope. She counted $3,000. She was running, Tom said, or getting ready to. Emily checked the closet, found a safe, small and old-fashioned. The door hung open, empty. She took whatever she was keeping in here. Ramirez appeared in the doorway. "Sheriff, you need to see this." They followed him to the second bedroom, converted into an office. Desk, filing cabinets, computer. And on the walls, cork boards covered in photographs and documents. It was Pete Larkin's investigation, a mirror of what they'd found at the mill. Same photographs, same red string connections, same obsessive documentation. But from a different perspective. Where Pete's focus had been on proving guilt, Martha's seemed to be on containing damage. Emily studied the boards, found notes in Martha's handwriting. "Destroy before discovery. Can't let this reach Evelyn. Protect Samuel's memory." And a photograph that made Emily's blood run cold, recent, color. Showed Pete Larkin and Evelyn Carter sitting in a booth at the Seafarer Diner, talking. The angle suggested it had been taken from outside through the window. She was surveilling them, Emily said. Tom examined the photo. This was taken yesterday. Look at the timestamp. 4:47 p.m. Hours before Pete Larkin was murdered. Emily searched the desk. Found more photographs. Pete entering the old mill, Pete at the library, Pete at the hardware store talking to David Langley. All recent, all surveillance style. Martha was tracking his movements, Ramirez said. Or someone was, and she was keeping tabs. Emily opened the desk drawers. Found letters, dozens of them, dating back decades. All addressed to My Dearest Martha and signed S. Samuel Carter. She read one at random, dated March 1979. My dearest Martha, I know this is difficult. What we did weighs on me every day. Joe didn't deserve what happened, neither did the others. But we couldn't let him destroy everything we'd built. You understand, don't you? You always understood me better than anyone. The money is just money. It won't bring them back. But it will let us start over. Please come to Portland. We can be together now. No one needs to know. Your loving Samuel. They were lovers, Tom said quietly. And she helped him cover up murder. Emily kept reading through letters, watched the relationship deteriorate over years. Carter's guilt eating at him. Martha begging him to come back to Ravenwood Cove. His refusals. Her increasing desperation. The last letter was dated November 2014, months before Carter died. Martha, I'm dying. Cancer, 6 months if I'm lucky. I've been writing down everything. The truth about Joe, about the fire, about what we did. My daughter deserves to know. I've hidden the notebook where she'll find it after I'm gone. I'm sorry for dragging you into this. Sorry for the life you could have had. But I can't die carrying this lie. Forgive me. Samuel. The notebook, Emily breathed. Carter wrote a confession and hid it for his daughter. But it took 9 years for anyone to find it, Tom said. Emily looked at the surveillance photos again. Until Pete Larkin did. He must have contacted Evelyn, told her about her father's confession. She searched her inherited belongings and found it. And Martha knew. She's been watching Pete for months, waiting for him to find the evidence. When he did. She didn't kill him, Emily said, certainty settling in her gut. Look at these boards. She's been trying to prevent the truth from coming out, but not through violence. She's been removing evidence, destroying documents. She's a 74-year-old librarian, not a killer. Then, who killed Pete Larkin? Emily turned to the boards, found a photograph of David Langley. Martha had written next to it. Knows everything, dangerous when cornered. And another photo of Morgan Blackwood. The note read, "We'll do anything to protect development plans." The people with the most to lose, Emily said. Langley's family built their fortune on the insurance payout. Blackwood's empire started with that money. If the truth came out, they'd lose everything. Reputation, business, possibly face criminal charges. Tom's phone rang. He listened, his face going ashen. "We're on our way." "What is it?" "Body at the boatyard. Female, elderly. Deputy Chen is on scene. Emily." Tom's voice cracked. "She thinks it might be Martha." Chapter 4. The old boatyard sat on the edge of town where the Raven River met the bay. Abandoned for years, it was a maze of rotting docks, collapsed sheds, and rusting equipment. Yellow police tape already marked the scene. Deputy Anna Chen, the department's newest officer, met them at the entrance. Her normally calm expression was shaken. "In the main shed," she directed. "I've preserved the scene, haven't touched anything." They followed her to a large building, once used for boat repairs. Now it was a shell, walls collapsing, roof full of holes. The body wasn't Martha Higgins. Emily felt relief, then guilt for feeling relieved. The woman was in her 60s, dressed in hiking clothes, blonde hair matted with blood. She lay on her back, eyes open and staring. A single gunshot wound to the chest. Dr. Green was already there, conducting his preliminary examination. "Not Martha," Tom said, exhaling. "No, this is Anna Whitaker." Green's voice was heavy. "Mayor Whitaker's sister. She's been missing since yesterday." Emily knew the name. Anna Whitaker was a local activist, vocal opponent of Morgan Blackwood's development plans. She'd organized protests, petitioned the city council, written op-eds in the Gazette. "Time of death?" Emily asked. "Sometime last night. I'd estimate between 10 p.m. and 2 a.m. Same caliber weapon as Pete Larkin, 9mm. I'll confirm once I can do full ballistics." Emily examined the scene. Anna had been killed here, not moved like Pete. Spent shell casing near the door. Signs of a struggle. Overturned crates, drag marks in the dust. "She met someone here," Emily said. "Voluntarily, maybe. Then it went wrong." Ramirez found a purse behind some debris. Inside, Anna's wallet, phone, keys. Her phone showed the last call made at 9:47 p.m. to the Ravenwood Gazette tip line. "She called Ben Matthews," Tom said. Emily tried Anna's voicemail. One saved message from an unknown number, timestamped 9:30 p.m. "Ms. Whitaker, this is about the mill development. I have information you need to see. Evidence of corruption in the planning process. Meet me at the old boatyard at 10 p.m. Come alone. If others find out before you see this, the evidence will disappear." Male voice, muffled. Impossible to identify. "She was lured here," Ramirez said, "with the promise of evidence against the development." Emily thought about the timing. Pete Larkin dies around 10 p.m., Anna Whittaker a few hours later, both connected to the mill. Different angles, though, Tom pointed out. Pete was investigating the old fire. Anna was fighting the new development. Maybe they're more connected than we thought. Emily photographed the scene. Anna opposed the development. If it went through, Blackwood makes millions. The truth about the original fire comes out. Blackwood loses everything. He can't afford either scenario. So he's cleaning house, Ramirez said. Or someone is. Emily found something else. A manila folder, hidden under a tarp. Inside, documents. Building permits, environmental impact assessments, financial disclosures for the development project. And highlighted in yellow, irregularities. Falsified inspection reports. Bribes to planning committee members. Evidence of corruption. Exactly as the caller had promised. "This is dynamite," Tom said, reading over her shoulder. "If this gets out, the development is dead. And a lot of people go to jail." Anna was going to expose it. Someone killed her before she could. Emily's phone buzzed. Text from Ben Matthews. "Analyzed Pete's USB drive. You need to see this. Now." She showed Tom. "We need to get back to the Gazette." "Go. I'll process this scene. Get these documents to the state police. If there's corruption in the planning process, it's beyond us." Emily and Ramirez headed back to town. Emily's mind raced. 2 murders in 12 hours, both connected to the mill. Both victims had evidence of corruption, fraud, murder. And Evelyn Carter was still missing. Chapter 5. Ben had his entire setup dedicated to the contents of Pete's USB drive. 3 screens showed different files, scanned documents, video footage, audio recordings. Pete was thorough, Ben said, looking exhausted. He documented everything for the last 6 months. Surveillance, interviews, evidence analysis. It's all here. "Show me," Emily said. Ben started with video files. Footage of the mill at night. Martha Higgins arriving, entering, leaving with a box. Just like the video they'd already seen. "This one's different," Ben said, pulling up another file. "From 2 weeks ago." The footage showed the same scene, but this time a different person arrived after Martha left. Male, tall, expensive car. He entered the mill, was inside for 20 minutes, emerged empty-handed. Ben zoomed in on the license plate. Morgan Blackwood. "He was at the mill," Emily breathed. What was he looking for? Same thing as Martha, probably. Evidence Carter left behind. Ben opened another file. But here's where it gets interesting. Pete didn't just watch. He broke in the next day, found what they were looking for. He showed Emily scanned documents. Samuel Carter's personal records from 1978. Financial statements showing massive debts, correspondence with insurance companies, and a contract signed by Carter, Langley Insurance, and Blackwood Properties. "A conspiracy agreement," Emily read aloud. "They planned the fire together, split the insurance money 3 ways, and killed Joe Haskell when he discovered it." Ben opened an audio file. Pete interviewed someone. "Listen." An old man's voice, shaky but clear. "I was there the night of the fire. Security guard making rounds. Saw Samuel Carter and Joe Haskell arguing in the office. Joe had papers, was yelling about fraud. Said he was going to the police. Carter grabbed him. They struggled. Joe hit his head on the desk. Went down hard. Didn't move. Carter panicked, called someone. Then more men arrived. Langley and Blackwood. They talked for maybe 20 minutes. Then they carried Joe's body to the storage room, set the fire. I hid, watched it all. Was too scared to come forward. "Who is that?" Emily asked. "Robert Taylor, the security guard who supposedly died in the fire." Ben paused the recording. "Except he didn't die. He ran. Changed his name, lived in Canada for 40 years. Pete tracked him down 3 months ago." "Where is he now?" "Dead. Natural causes 2 months ago. But he gave Pete a sworn statement before he died." Ben pulled up the document. Signed, notarized, detailed. "This is everything," Emily said. "Proof of murder, arson, conspiracy. Why didn't Pete go to the police immediately?" "He tried. Look." Ben showed her a series of emails. Pete had contacted the state police, the FBI, the Attorney General's office. All had responded the same way. The case was too old, the evidence circumstantial. They needed more to reopen an investigation. So Pete decided to gather more evidence. And he went to the one person who could make it public and demand justice. "Evelyn Carter." Ben nodded. He gave her father's notebook to her at the diner. According to his notes, the notebook contains Carter's full confession, written before he died. Names, dates, details. Combined with Taylor's testimony and the physical evidence, it's enough to prosecute. Even 46 years later? There's no statute of limitations on murder. Blackwood and Langley could still face charges. Emily thought about the implications. They knew. Somehow they found out Pete had the evidence, was giving it to Evelyn. One of them killed Pete to stop him, and took Evelyn to get the notebook back. But which one? And where is she now? Ben pulled up another video file. Pete's last recording, made at 9 p.m. yesterday, an hour before he died. The video showed Pete in his truck, hands shaking as he held the camera. "Someone's following me. Black SUV, no plates. They've been behind me since I left the diner. I'm heading to the mill. If something happens to me, this drive has everything. Martha, Langley, Blackwood, they're all guilty. But there's someone else. Someone I didn't see coming. I found their name in Carter's notebook. They've been orchestrating everything, protecting the secret. I confronted them today. Big mistake. If I don't survive tonight, look for..." The video cut off. "That's it?" Emily demanded. "He doesn't say who." "The file's corrupted. I've tried every recovery method. This is all there is." Emily slammed her hand on the desk. Someone else, a fourth conspirator. Or someone who took over protecting the secret after Carter died. Ben pulled up a timeline. Martha's been trying to hide evidence, but she's not violent. Anna Whittaker was killed by someone willing to murder to protect the development, someone with everything to lose. Blackwood. He has alibis for last night. I checked. His dinner party had 20 guests, photographers, caterers. He was there from 7 until midnight. Then Langley. He closed the hardware store at 6 yesterday. No alibi after that. Emily stood, pacing. We need to find Langley. Bring him in for questioning. Her phone rang. Unknown number. She answered cautiously. Detective Wilson. A woman's voice, terrified. It's Evelyn Carter. Please, you have to help me. I'm being held at... Sounds of struggle. A man's voice shouting. Then silence. Evelyn, Emily shouted. Evelyn, where are you? The line went dead. Trace that call, Emily told Ben. His fingers flew across the keyboard. It's coming from... Oh, God. It's coming from inside Ravenwood Cove. The signal's triangulating to the Blackwood estate. Chapter 6. Emily called Tom while speeding toward Blackwood's mansion. I'm going in. Evelyn Carter just called from inside the estate. Wait for backup, Tom ordered. 10 minutes. She might not have 10 minutes. Emily pulled up to the estate's gates. They stood open. That was wrong. Blackwood was paranoid about security. The gates were always closed. She approached cautiously, weapon drawn. The mansion loomed ahead, modern glass and steel catching the late afternoon light. Blackwood's Mercedes sat in the driveway, along with David Langley's pickup truck. Emily's pulse quickened. Both of them here. She called Tom again. Langley's vehicle is here. I'm going in. Emily, wait. She ended the call, approaching the house. The front door was slightly ajar. She pushed it open. Morgan Blackwood, Ravenwood Police. No response. She cleared the entry hall, living room, kitchen. Everything pristine, untouched. But she heard voices from somewhere below. Basement, maybe. She found the stairs behind a door off the kitchen, descended carefully, flashlight and weapon ready. The basement was unfinished, concrete and shadows, storage boxes stacked along walls, and at the far end, a door with light spilling underneath. Emily approached, heard voices clearly now. Can't keep doing this. Langley's voice, high and panicked. First Pete, then Anna, now her? When does it end? When the secret is buried for good. Blackwood, cold and controlled. You knew what you were getting into. I was 23. I didn't kill anyone. Your father did. And you've been living off that blood money ever since. I want out. I'll turn myself in, testify. You'll do no such thing. A third voice. Female. Familiar. Emily froze. She knew that voice. She kicked the door open. The room was set up like a command center. Computer monitors showed security feeds from all over Ravenwood Cove. The mill, the boatyard, the police station. Evelyn Carter sat in a chair, hands zip-tied. Blood dried on her temple. She looked terrified, but alive. David Langley stood against the wall, holding a gun with shaking hands. Morgan Blackwood sat calmly in an office chair, his own weapon holstered. And Martha Higgins stood by the monitors, perfectly composed. No fear, no panic. In her hand, a small pistol pointed at Evelyn. Emily, Martha said pleasantly. I wondered when you'd figure it out. Emily kept her weapon trained on Martha. Put the gun down. I'm afraid I can't do that. We're so close to the end now. End of what? The mess Samuel Carter started 46 years ago. I've been cleaning it up ever since. Martha smiled, and Emily saw madness behind those green eyes. Samuel was weak. He felt guilty. Wrote that foolish confession. I told him to destroy it, but he wouldn't listen. Said his daughter deserved the truth. You killed Pete Larkin, Emily said. No, that was David. Though not intentionally. Martha glanced at Langley. Tell her. Langley's gun wavered. Pete called me. Said he had proof of the insurance fraud. Wanted to meet at the mill. I went to reason with him, convince him to let it go. But he wouldn't listen. We fought. The gun went off. I didn't mean to. You moved his body. Emily interrupted. Made it look like he'd been killed near the river. I panicked. Martha said she'd help cover it up if I helped her get the notebook from Carter's daughter. So you kidnapped Evelyn. Followed her from the rest stop. Brought her here. Martha said we just needed to destroy the evidence and then let her go. Emily looked at Martha. But that's not the plan, is it? David is an idiot. You can't leave witnesses. Martha's pistol didn't waver. Evelyn has read her father's confession. She knows everything. She has to die. And Anna Whitaker? Emily asked, keeping Martha talking, waiting for an opening. Anna was going to destroy the development. Morgan's entire fortune depends on that land. We couldn't allow it. We? Emily looked at Blackwood. You're working together? Martha and I have had an arrangement for years. Blackwood said calmly. She helped my development plans. I protected the secret about the fire, mutually beneficial. You killed Anna. Martha did. I provided the alibi. Blackwood stood. The dinner party was real. Martha left through the back, drove to the boatyard, lured Anna there with the promise of evidence, killed her, and was back before anyone noticed she was gone. Emily's mind raced. You're both monsters. We're survivors, Martha corrected. Samuel Carter was the monster. He killed Joe Haskell, set a fire that murdered 2 innocent people. I loved him, despite that. Spent my whole life protecting his memory. You're protecting yourself. You helped him cover up murder. I did. And I'd do it again. Martha's expression hardened. Now, Detective Wilson, you're going to put down your weapon. Not happening. Then I'll kill Evelyn, then you, then David. Morgan will help me dispose of the bodies. We have experience with that. Langley's gun swung toward Martha. You said you'd let her go. David, don't be stupid. A gunshot. Emily dove sideways as Langley fired at Martha. Missed. Martha returned fire, hitting Langley in the shoulder. He went down screaming. Emily fired at Martha, aiming low, hit her in the leg. Martha stumbled, dropping her pistol. Blackwood pulled his weapon. Emily rolled behind a desk as he fired. Wood splintered above her head. State police are on the way, Emily shouted. It's over. Not yet. Blackwood fired twice more. I have too much to lose. Emily looked for an angle. Saw Evelyn working at her zip ties, trying to free herself. Saw Martha crawling toward her dropped pistol. Emily made a decision. Shot out the lights. Darkness, shouts of confusion. Emily moved fast, using memory of the room's layout. Found Evelyn, cut her restraints with her pocket knife. Run, she whispered. Upstairs. Police are coming. Evelyn fled. Emily tracked Blackwood's movement by sound. He was heading for the stairs, trying to cut Evelyn off. Emily tackled him from behind. They went down hard. His gun skittered away. They fought, Blackwood stronger, but Emily faster. She got her handcuffs on one wrist, snapped the other to a support beam. It's over, she panted. Martha's voice from the darkness. Not for me? Emily spun, but too late. Martha had found her gun. Even wounded, she was deadly. The shot never came. Tom Harris appeared in the doorway, weapon trained on Martha. Drop it, Martha. The old librarian looked at Tom, at Emily, at the wreckage of her carefully constructed life. She lowered the gun. I loved him, Tom. Samuel, I loved him so much. I know, Tom said gently. I know. Martha collapsed, sobbing. Tom cuffed her while Ramirez secured the scene. Deputy Chen helped Langley, calling for an ambulance. Emily found Evelyn upstairs safe, shaking but alive. "You have your father's notebook?" Emily asked. Evelyn nodded, pulling it from her jacket. "Martha was going to burn it. I convinced her to let me read it first, to say goodbye to my father. I bought time until you got here." Emily took the notebook carefully. Evidence. Justice. Finally. What my father did. Evelyn's voice broke. The people he killed. Wasn't your fault, Emily said firmly. You did the right thing. Pete Larkin died bringing you this truth. Anna Whitaker died fighting for it. They deserve justice. Will they get it? Emily looked at the notebook. Samuel Carter's confession. Robert Taylor's testimony on Pete's drive. Martha, Blackwood, and Langley in custody. Yes, she said. They will. Chapter 7. 3 days later, Emily sat in Sheriff Tom Harris's office, filing her final report. Martha Higgins and Morgan Blackwood were in county jail awaiting trial. David Langley was in the hospital under guard, also charged with murder and kidnapping. The state police had taken over the investigation. But they'd needed Emily's work to make the case. The USB drive from Pete Larkin contained everything. Witness testimony, surveillance footage, financial records. Combined with Samuel Carter's notebook and the evidence from Blackwood's basement, the prosecutors were confident. First-degree murder for Anna Whitaker, Tom said, reading the charges. Second degree for Pete Larkin. Conspiracy, kidnapping, obstruction of justice. They're all going away for life. Good. Emily closed her laptop. What about the old mill fire? State's attorney is reviewing Carter's confession. Joe Haskell's death might still be prosecutable depending on statute of limitations. The 2 other deaths in the fire could be negligent homicide. Langley's father is dead, but there may be civil liability for the insurance company. And the development? Dead. City Council voted unanimously to reject Blackwood's proposal. The mill property is being donated to the Historical Society. They're turning it into a museum dedicated to Ravenwood Cove's industrial heritage. Pete Larkin would have liked that. He would. Tom leaned back. You did good work, Emily. Real detective work. I'm proud of you. Emily felt warmth spread through her chest. Thank you. You staying? In Ravenwood Cove? She thought about it. Yeah, I think I am. Good. We need you here. Tom stood extending his hand. Welcome home, detective. They shook. Emily gathered her files, heading out. Stopped at the Seafarer Diner for lunch. Lucy Brown greeted her with a huge smile. The hero, detective. Pie is on the house. Just coffee, Emily said, sliding into her usual booth. Ben Matthews appeared moments later, laptop bag over his shoulder. Mind if I join you? Please. He sat ordering his own coffee. Front page story. The Gazette hasn't sold this many copies since the Kennedy assassination. Glad I could help your circulation. It's more than that. Ben's expression turned serious. You solved a 46-year-old murder. Took down some of the most powerful people in Ravenwood Cove. You're a hero. I'm a detective who did her job. Humble too. Ben smiled. Look, I wanted to ask you something. I'm starting a podcast about cold cases in Maine. Historical mysteries, unsolved crimes. I'd love your input. Maybe have you as a consultant. I don't do media. Just think about it. These stories deserve to be told. Emily considered. No promises. But I'll think about it. Her phone buzzed. Unknown number. She hesitated, then answered. Detective Wilson? A woman's voice. Older, refined, familiar somehow. This is she. I need your help. My name is Carolyn Whitaker, Anna's sister. The mayor? Emily straightened. Ms. Whitaker, I'm so sorry for your loss. Thank you. That's actually why I'm calling. Anna was investigating more than just the mill development. She had files, evidence of other corruption in Ravenwood Cove, things that go back decades. I think that's why she was really killed. The mill case is closed. Please. Anna left me a message the night she died. Said if anything happened to her, I should give you her research. She trusted you. Emily felt the familiar pull. Another mystery. More secrets buried in this small town. Where do you want to meet? My office, tomorrow at 10. Come alone, and Detective, be careful. The people Anna was investigating are still out there. The line went dead. Emily set down her phone, looked out at Main Street. Ravenwood Cove in late October, leaves falling, tourists gone, just the locals remaining. Ben watched her. Case? Maybe, probably. I don't know yet. Welcome to Ravenwood Cove, where the mysteries never end. Emily smiled despite herself. You're not wrong. She finished her coffee, paid Lucy, and walked out into the crisp autumn air. The town looked peaceful, quaint, safe. But Emily knew better now. Every small town had secrets. Every community had lies buried beneath its charming surface. And Ravenwood Cove had more than most. Her phone buzzed again. Text from an unknown number. You should have stayed in Boston, Detective. Some secrets are better left buried. Keep digging and you'll end up like Anna Whitaker. Emily deleted the message. She'd faced down killers in Boston. She'd survived the night her partner died. She'd just brought down a 46-year conspiracy. Some anonymous threat wouldn't scare her away. She was Emily Wilson. She was a detective, and Ravenwood Cove was her home. Let the secrets come. She'd be ready. Chapter 8. 1 week later, Emily stood at the old mill ruins. The site had been cleaned up, bodies exhumed, evidence collected. Soon construction would begin on the museum. She placed flowers at the spot where Pete Larkin's body had been found. Beside them, she set a photo of Joe Haskell, recovered from Pete's investigation files. The man who died trying to stop a crime, forgotten for nearly 5 decades. Justice is slow, Emily said to the empty air, but it comes eventually. A figure approached. Evelyn Carter, carrying her own bouquet. Detective Wilson, I was hoping I'd find you here. Ms. Carter. Emily stepped back, giving her space. Evelyn placed flowers beside Emily's. My father's grave is in Portland. I visit every week. I used to bring flowers, tell him about my life. Now, she trailed off. Now it's different. Now I know what he did, who he really was. Evelyn looked at the ruins. But I also know he tried to make it right at the end. The confession, wanting me to know the truth, that counts for something. It does. Pete Larkin spent his whole life seeking justice for Joe Haskell. For the others. He died for it. I want to make sure his sacrifice meant something. Emily understood. What will you do? I'm establishing a foundation, the Pete Larkin Justice Fund, to help families of unsolved crimes in Maine, to support cold case investigations. Pete never gave up. Neither will I. He'd be proud. I hope so. Evelyn pulled an envelope from her pocket. I wanted to give you this. From my father's effects. I think it's important. Emily opened it. Inside, a letter addressed to the person who finds this. She read, If you're reading this, then my confession has come to light. Good. The truth deserves to be known. But there's more to the story than what I've written. The mill fire wasn't just about insurance fraud. It was covering up something bigger. Documents were being stored in the mill. Evidence of crimes that reached far beyond Ravenwood Cove. Joe Haskell found them. That's why he really had to die. The fire destroyed that evidence. But I kept copies. Hidden, my insurance policy. If the people who forced my hand ever came after my family, I'd release everything. The location is... The letter ended, torn off mid-sentence. That's all there was, Emily asked. Everything I could find. My father died suddenly. Maybe he never finished the letter. Maybe someone took the rest. Emily studied the fragment. More secrets. Evidence of bigger crimes. Hidden somewhere by a dead man. Can I keep this? That's why I brought it. If there's more to uncover, you should be the one to do it. Evelyn left. Emily stood alone at the mill, letter in hand. Behind her, footsteps. She turned. Ben Matthews approached, camera around his neck. Thought I'd find you here, working on the historical documentation for the museum. Find anything interesting? Always. He showed her his camera screen. Old mill blueprints. The building had a sub-basement, not on any official plans. It's completely sealed off now, filled with rubble from the fire. Emily looked at the ruins with new eyes. A hidden basement, where someone could hide evidence. Their eyes met. We're not going to let this go, are we? Ben said. Would you? Not a chance. He grinned. When do we start digging? Emily's phone buzzed. Tom Harris. Detective, we have a situation. Body found at Raven Lake. Looks suspicious. On my way. She ended the call. Looked at Ben. Rain check on the excavation. Duty calls. But Emily, this town has layers. The mill fire is just one secret. I think we've barely scratched the surface. I think you're right. She headed to her truck. Another crime scene, another mystery, another piece of Ravenwood Cove's hidden history. But she was ready. This was her town now. Her home, her responsibility. And she would uncover every secret it held. As she drove away, she didn't see the figure watching from the trees. Didn't notice the camera photographing her. Didn't know that her investigation of the mill had set other wheels in motion. The secrets of Ravenwood Cove ran deep, and some people would kill to keep them buried. But Emily Wilson was just getting started. The end, to be continued in Book 2. The Festival Fiasco. Thank you for stepping inside Mystery Manor. If you enjoyed this story, let me know by leaving a comment or like. It truly helps support the channel. More mysteries from Ravenwood Cove are coming, and the next case is already waiting. Subscribe so you don't miss what's uncovered next. Step inside. The mystery awaits.